Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just to make sure that everyone understands my philosophy so that at a later point in time somebody doesn't try to take anybody to the woodshed, I think the point of this bill is to try to take away what is perceived as a privilege that the legislature has that other citizens in the state do not enjoy. I concur with that. But we have several privileges that I think that we enjoy that I think the Citizens Committee should take away. As a matter of fact, the good gentleman from 22 and I tried to do that this year, and were directed to the Constitution. So I'm going to go over those briefly. The first is per diem. The per diem, I think, is unfair. I get the fact that it's based on the federal model of per diem, but some people are taxed on it, some people are not taxed on it, based upon where you live, etc. The next is, and this particularly grates on me, is health care benefits. We sit on the absolute finest health care benefits that you can purchase in the state of Idaho, all paid for by the taxpayers, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much to the citizens of Idaho for providing me that, even though I'm Medicare eligible and don't really need it. And we have a whole bunch of people in the state who have no health care benefits at all. Thirdly, are the removal of retirement benefits in general. I don't think the legislature should enjoy retirement benefits of any kind, period. And I do think that the Citizens Committee, and I hope they're listening to this debate, and if it changes 2 years from now, they can pull up the archives and listen to this debate. But the constituent services bonus that we get at the end of every session, which is about $1,800, needs to not be fixed, because if you look at legislative districts 7, 8, 32, and others, they need a whole lot more in terms of reimbursement for constituent services than legislative districts such as 15, 16, 17, or 18. So I would encourage the Citizens Committee to look at all of this and end all of those special privileges for the legislature, because we don't need them and we shouldn't have them if the citizens of Idaho don't. Next, Mr. Speaker, and the good gentleman just before me brought this up, but I'll read it again. Now, you know, Mr. Speaker, you and I both joke about the dialect of English that's spoken up Goose Creek, okay? And the implication, as you and I both know, is that it's just plain spoken English and it means exactly what it says. And as a matter of fact, there are bills going before the United States Supreme Court today, or at least in the next month or two, and the whole issue is going to be about the plain reading of statutes and the plain reading of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, Article 3, Section 23 of the Constitution says, and I shall read it again, compensation of members. The legislature shall have no authority to establish the rate of its compensation and expenses by law. Now, the plain reading of that is that we have absolutely no authority to be monkeying around in what we are monkeying around in today, in my opinion. Let's take this as an example. As I read this, let's presume for a moment that the executive branch of the legislature found itself in need of a director of the Department of Health and Welfare. And let's presume for a moment that I lost all of my mental faculties and agreed to do that, which I would never do, but let's just presume so, okay? Well, Mr. Speaker, if I read this correctly, what that means is that if I went and did that job in June of this year, my rate of compensation would be significantly different than if I went and did it in July of this year. That is wrong. This body is changing my rate of compensation in the middle of my term, and we have absolutely no authority to do that. In closing, Mr. Speaker, back in the early 70s when the legislature proposed this constitutional amendment, that was a pretty wise legislature, because what that legislature said is the legislature should not be involved in its own compensation, and it should be up to the citizens of the state of Idaho to do this. And I think we should continue that practice, and the legislature is ill-advised to get involved in this. And so I will be voting no. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.